Is ASU beating Cincinnati on the road? I'm not going to lie, I haven't decided just yet.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. A special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. And thanks to all of you for making us your first listen of the day. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. Stay in touch by following me on Twitter at RichieBrads36, the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard me right. I have not decided if ASU is going to beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati. In fact, on today's ultimate game day preview, I'll explain in just a moment, I have two score predictions. One that favors ASU, one that favors Cincy. When we get to the end of the show, I will hopefully decide on which one we're going with. If not, we're going to flip a coin or something, man, because I think this game is a serious toss-up for ASU. But let me explain the ultimate game day preview. I have made the executive decision that since tomorrow's game is at 9 a.m. local time, we're only going to have a couple of hours to really take a look at the actual game day preview that I normally say for Saturday. So instead, we are combining the game day preview as well as the what the game means going into the week. So stay in tune. This is a jam-packed episode, and we've already wasted enough time. So let's get right into this bad boy. We're talking offense, defense, and coaching, what they need to do to be able to win this game. On offense, you got to be run heavy. That's just, to me, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I have said this week, sort of jokingly, sort of seriously, I'm not sure if I put it on Twitter. I feel like I did, but I've certainly said it to a lot of my close friends and people that I'm associated with. You need to run the heck out of the ball, almost an 80-20 split. I am not exaggerating. I would rather see 40 running attempts to 15 passing attempts to a 50-50 split. Oh my God, not even close. Not even close. I would rather run the heck out of the football. I'd rather be like a military academy. I'm serious. Like wing T, I know I've mentioned that on the show, is being super run heavy with Jeff Sims under center. I'm not exaggerating. I cannot make that more clear. Cincinnati, they're also not the best run defense in the world. In fact, they are third to last in the Big 12, surrendering 163.7 run yards per game. I'll give you a bold prediction right now. ASU is topping that easily. In fact, I'll say ASU gets 200 rushing yards in this game for sure. They're going to be run heavy. Cam Scanaboo is on a heater right now. Jeff Sims, a great runner. Hopefully get the other guys involved. But you need to be run heavy. My other question for the offense is who's going to step up in the passing game? When you have to throw it, who's going to be the guy? We would assume it's probably Jordan Tyson. He's been the guy all year. His connection's been with Sam Levitt. We have seen a whopping 2 passing attempts from Jeff Sims. We have no idea, none, how this passing game will look with Sims under center. And that's kind of terrifying because if ASU gets into a spot where you have to throw the ball, how's it going to end up looking? I don't know. Is Tyson going to be the guy? Do we see Shimon Mateo breakout game? Do we see Xavier Guillory breakout game? Is Stovall going to be big? I don't know. I am curious, though. Defensively, how do you win this game? Well, first of all, is the pass rush going to deliver in this game? Pass rush feels like it's been up and down this year. Mostly it's been pretty consistent. ASU has 14 sacks on the year through 6 games. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the best thing in the world. It's also led to a decent turnover margin. ASU has 10 turnovers on a year. 3 of them came last week. Like, I don't know. It's not exactly a streaky defense by any stretch of the imagination, but it's certainly a defense that really needs to get hot at the right time. And this is the right time, ladies and gentlemen. This is not going to be an easy game. Prince Dorbah is back. He's healthy. He had a sack last week. That's huge. Can he stack performances? We'll actually talk about that a little bit later on the show. Clayton Smith hasn't had a sack the last couple of games. Is he going to be back in the sack department? I think so. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. My other question is, who in the secondary is stepping up against this passing attack? Ladies and gentlemen, Cincinnati airs the ball out with, Brendan Sorbsey has 1,700 passing yards this year, 1,722 to be exact. He is completing 66.2% of his passes, a whopping 8.6 yards per attempt, 13 touchdowns against 3 interceptions. He's also only been sacked 9 times. They're pretty good on offense. And they spread the ball around very, very well. They've got 4 receivers that are at 197 yards or better. You've got Xavier Henderson, who's leading the team with 474 yards. Joe Royer, 347 yards. Tony Johnson, 203 yards. And Jamoy Mays, I apologize if I did not pronounce your name right, Mr. Mays, 197 yards. Cincinnati spreads the ball around very well. They are averaging 12.8 yards per reception as a team. This is not a passing attack that I am looking forward to. It's going to be one of the better passing attacks that ASU has seen this year. I don't know if you put it on par with Texas Tech. I don't know how far off they are, and I certainly think that they're a lot further away than some of the other teams that ASU has faced that have been more run-heavy and more run-oriented. ASU's secondary, it's quality. It's very young. It's been tested this year. And you've got young guys like Javen Robinson and Keith Abney who have been asked to step into big-time roles. For the most part, I think that they've responded very well, especially Keith Abney. Oh, man, this is slowly turning into a Keith Abney fan club on Locked On Sun Devils. Love the kid to pieces. He's been playing well this year. He's been picked on by the refs. I truly believe that. I don't think there's been 2 pass interference calls on him that I can think of that were just terrible. Abney's been picked on. He's been playing good football this year. He's going to have a tough task ahead of him. Javen Robinson has a tough task. How do the safeties respond? I don't know. This is a big game for the secondary coming up. Hopefully the pass rush can help them out as well. Finally, the coaching. How is the coaching going to win this game? Well, it's simple. How do you keep ASU on task on the road after a big win? ASU took down Utah last week. Number 15 Utah. The fans stormed the field. Kenny Dillingham was partying in the crowd with the student section. It was the students, it was the fans, it was the parents. Everybody was on that field having a good time. They preemptively took down the game post, or not the game post, the field goal posts. I can't think of what they're called right now. They took those down preemptively to make sure that they didn't have to worry about ASU trying to take them down. It was a good time. The vibes were immaculate in Tempe last week. It was a borderline sellout. I did not get the exact number on that. Normally I do. We did not get that in the press box. It looked about as close to a sellout as you were going to get, at least 90% capacity, I would say. Vibes are immaculate. However, this is where you can fall into a trap. Is ASU going to fall into a trap? There's a big time possibility. You also, and this is a huge factor, I cannot stress this enough, ladies and gentlemen. You are going to the other side of the country. You are going from Tempe, Arizona to Cincinnati, Ohio, with a 3-hour time difference, with significantly different weather. Now, granted, I think the weather report is supposed to be like in the mid to high 60s in Cincinnati. It's still a much different environment than what ASU was used to playing on in the desert. My biggest worry is that jet lag. In fact, we've seen this year across college football that teams that have to go across the country, Cal when they played Rutgers, Penn State when they played USC, there's been a lot of games this year that have been dramatically different because of the distance. The regions that we used to have with conference alignment, it's gone. It's gone forever. Punted away. ASU is going across the country for this game against a good football team. Cincinnati is 4-2. They're nothing to be slept on, ladies and gentlemen. This is a good football team. I don't know. And that's one of the reasons why by the end of the show, I'm hoping that I can narrow down my score prediction. Because right now, I'm really nervous about this game. And you should be too, honestly. But we're going to talk about players to watch coming up next for the Sun Devils. 2 on offense, 2 on defense. Unfortunately, we don't have Sam Levitt to talk about this week, but we do have another quarterback to talk about. That's coming up next. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to talk to you about our friends over at Hims because your sex life is important, but your schedule is busy. You don't have the time to go to a doctor's office and get treated for ED. Through Hims, you can get a personalized ED treatment without even having to step out of your door. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis, and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, too. There's no need for that uncomfortable doctor's visit. You just need to answer a series of questions on their website, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option for you. If prescribed, your medication will ship directly to you in discreet packaging for free. Seriously, you don't have to worry about any kind of embarrassment. No insurance is needed either, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of treated subscribers and trusted subscribers, Hims, they can help you find that ED solution that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's Hims, HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. Hims.com/lockedon. These products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription for you. I got to talk to you guys about our friends over at Homefield too. Homefield, oh my goodness, they're the best. Homefield Apparel. It's the premium collegiate apparel brand based in Indianapolis with a focus on creating incredibly comfortable and officially licensed apparel with vintage designs, that cover more than 180 schools, including ASU, probably including Cincinnati, including a lot. They're probably got your school, and it helps with Christmas time and the holiday season around the corner. If you're looking for gifts to buy for your friends and your family, you can probably check out Homefield Apparel. They got it. They got it for you. It's products that are made by the college fan for the college fan. Homefield Apparel's football boxes are my personal favorite packages that they sell. The football boxes include 3 never-before-seen items from your school that aren't available anywhere else. Homefield also has items that are fit for any occasion and any weather condition. So whether it's 110 degrees outside or it dips into the 30s, you will always have high-quality merchandise to stay supportive of your school. You can shop for your team on homefieldapparel.com and use my personal promo code ASU24 for 15% off your first purchase. This code is good store-wide. It's not just Arizona State, ladies and gentlemen. It's Cincinnati. It's any other team in the Big 12, as long as it's not that team down south. But unfortunately, they do have product for the team down south. If you're listening for some reason, it's good across the store. It's not just ASU. ASU 24, 15% off of your first purchase. Go to homefieldapparel.com today. Get the best licensed apparel out there. And again, use my promo code ASU24 and get 15% off your first order. Wherever you're getting your shows, like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you get that update whenever we post new content. I appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. A special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. We still got a lot to talk about on this ultimate game day preview for Arizona State going up against Cincinnati on the road. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not an exciting football game. This is a game that I am very nervous about, but there's some players that I think can help you win this game. 2 on offense, 2 on defense is who we're talking about. Number 1 on offense, obviously we're talking about Jeff Sims. Jeff Sims, the veteran quarterback, the one-time Georgia Tech starter, the one-time Nebraska starter, is here at Arizona State. As Kenny Dillingham put it, he is here to be the starter. He did not come here with the intention of being the backup and being the veteran and this, that, and the other. Jeff Sims came to Arizona State with the mindset that he could win the starting job. He didn't win it, but lo and behold, here's your opportunity. Sam Leavitt out 2 to 4 weeks with that aforementioned rib injury. Have no idea what the game plan is there. Could he be ready for Oklahoma State 2 weeks down the road? Maybe, maybe not. Jeff Sims, he's going to advertise himself in this game to be the starter until Sam Leavitt is ready and healthy. I have a couple of questions I have for him. Number 1, you are historically turnover prone. This is a quarterback that barely has more touchdown passes than interceptions in his career. 31 touchdown passes against 29 interceptions. Last year at Nebraska, 1 touchdown, 6 interceptions, by the way. He is also under 58 completion percentage in his career. This is his 5th year of college football, by the way. This is not a quarterback that you look at and you go, yeah, he's a Heisman winner or he's a next level player. All you're hoping for is he plays safe, conservative, turnover-free football. Can you do it in this game? Because you're going to have to. If you turn the ball over too much, I don't think ASU wins this game. Number 2, how much different is this run game going to look with Jeff Sims under center? I'll be completely transparent. I don't think the run game looks better because Sam Leavitt is a dual threat. Jeff Sims is a dual threat. I expect the run game to play about the level that they've been playing. They could take a step back, but I do not think that they get better. Can you keep them on track with the way that they have been playing this year? ASU is averaging over 200 rushing yards per game, 4.9 yards per carry as a team, well over 5 if you take away the sack yards that Sam Leavitt has sustained, 14 rushing touchdowns. They win on the ground, and that's how you're going to win this football game as well. How much different is this run game going to look? Is it going to look pretty much the same? Is it going to look a little worse? Again, I don't think it looks better. If it does, it's not a drastic difference, but this run game is going to be important, and Jeff Sims is going to be arguably the most important factor in the run game this week against Cincinnati. Second guy I'm watching on offense is Xavier Guillory. Brought up Guillory earlier. Here's the thing with Guillory. He came into the year listed as wide receiver 1 on the depth chart. Through the season, 12 catches, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. He only has 2 games this year with more than 1 reception. One of them was Mississippi State, where he got 2 passes for 14 yards, and the other was Texas Tech. He got 6 passes for 74 yards. That was a road game. That was against a higher level competition team. Do we see history repeat itself? We know that Jordan Tyson is wide receiver 1 on this team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no debating that. Is he still going to be wide receiver 1 with a new quarterback? There is a possibility that Sims might have a connection established with someone else. Maybe it's Milcon Stovall. Maybe it's Jake Smith. Maybe it's Shimon Mateer. We'll have to wait and see. Guillory's the one I'm watching. I have this sneaky feeling that Xavier Guillory is going to have a really good game. And I won't say it's better than Texas Tech because 6 catches for 74 yards is pretty darn good. I do think that there is a very, very realistic possibility that Guillory ends up being your leader in receiving yards and receptions in this game. He's still a good receiver, but ASU is not passing the ball a lot this year, and Sam Leavitt clearly has an established connection with Jordan Tyson. Not guaranteed anything. I just got a sneaky feeling. Flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, the 2 guys I'm looking at, number 1, Prince Dorbah. He's coming off a strong week against Utah where he got his first sack of the season. I mentioned earlier this question. I'm going to ask the same question again. Are you able to stack performances? Prince Dorbah last year had 6 sacks for the Sun Devils. It tied for the team high. He dominated the first half, kind of cooled down in the second half. Some of that was injuries. Some of that was just other players stepping up. He's got a sack. He is more than capable of being a sack master. Can he do it in this game? And I think that ASU desperately needs Prince Dorbah to step up in this game. Clayton Smith has been their ace pass rusher this year with 4 sacks over 6 games. Keep in mind, he's also been ejected for half of the game for one of the worst targeting penalties I've ever seen. Clayton Smith is about as consistent as it gets off the edge. You've had some production from all across the board. Elijah O'Neal has 2 sacks. Several other players have a sack. Prince Dorbah still has the potential to lead this team in sacks. He can get hot at the right time. Will that start this weekend? I hope so. And there's going to be not pressure on him, but there's going to be eyes on him. And that's my second question. Is Dorbah ready to pass Clayton Smith as edge number 1? He can. He absolutely can. He was edge 1 last year with BJ Green. Flip a coin on who you preferred. Can he do it this year? Can he pass Clayton Smith this year? That's what we're going to find out. Second guy on defense I want to talk about before we head into the final part of the show, Caleb McCullough. McCullough is coming off one of the best games of his entire career. Not one of, the best games of his entire career. One of the best linebacker performances we've seen in the last handful of years for the Sun Devils. Double-digit tackles. He had a tackle and a half for loss. He had 2 interceptions, including the game sealer. It's going to be hard to keep him off the field this week. And ASU has had pretty good linebacker play this year. Keyshawn Elliott, he's back. He is not going to have to miss the first half of the game because of another BS targeting penalty. He's back. He's full-time, and he is linebacker 1. You've also had good games out of Zyrus Viaseyu this year. They've rotated other guys in as well. Caleb McCullough is the 3rd linebacker on this team. I have a feeling he's going to be the 2nd linebacker on this team. Can he stack a second good performance? And I'm not expecting him to post 12 tackles in this game. I'm not expecting him to reel in 2 interceptions. Could he lead the team in tackles for a second straight week? I wouldn't rule it out. He is a good football player, and he's playing with an edge. He's playing with determination. As someone who has been at this program through the highs and the lows, he should be a fan favorite. I encourage you guys to make Caleb McCullough one of your fan favorites. My question, can he continue to build upon what was a terrific week a week ago? All right. Last part of the podcast is loaded. We got what this game means, bold predictions, final score, and what happens next. That's coming up next. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let's talk to you about our friends over at FanDuel, today's sponsor for the episode. NFL fans, NBA fans, NHL, sports fans, whatever you're a fan of, because we are in full force for sports season right now. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because you can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. $200 in bonus bets, ladies and gentlemen. And you can put that on anything. That's money lines, that's spreads, that's over-unders, that's player props, all sorts of good stuff. Speaking of player props and all that good stuff, if you're watching an NFL game and you get this hunch in the middle of the game that you know that you can place a bet and something good is going to happen for you. Well, you can check out the latest stats and a live play-by-play and so much more on the same page where you place your bets so you feel comfortable with what you're doing. Just go to FanDuel.com to get started. Again, $200 in bonus bets with your first $5 bet on FanDuel.com. One last time, wherever you get your shows, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. You get that update whenever we post new content. Shout out my everydayers who are here every day. We're loaded for this last part. There's 4 huge topics we got to talk about as we wrap up the ultimate game day preview, which, by the way, this is not a weekly thing. This is kind of an emergency thing. We are more than likely splitting it into 2 episodes like we normally do. This is just a crazy week. All right. What does this game mean for ASU? It means 3 different things. First of all, this is a critical road game for ASU. They've only had 2 road games this year. They are 1-1. They look like a vastly different team on the road, too. They beat Texas State, but they had to come back from a 21-7 deficit. They win that game 28-7. They made the adjustments. It was an awesome second half. It was not their best football. Against Texas Tech, that was also not their best football. I have called that a humbling loss. I've called it a necessary loss for ASU. It still was not fun to watch. There was a lot that ASU really struggled with in the game. Converting downs. They had some turnover problems. They have to be better on the road. And again, it's only 2 games. It's a very small sample size. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of road games over the last few weeks of the season. After the bye week, your final 5 games, 3 of them are on the road, and a couple of them are really, really tough road games. You have got to be ready. And this Cincinnati game is a really good opportunity to get a heat check and see if you're ready for the rest of the year with the road games. Number 2, you get this win, you're 6-1, you are bowl eligible. Ladies and gentlemen, you haven't been bowl eligible since 2021, and you got smacked by Wisconsin in the Las Vegas Bowl. We have not had a good bowl game performance in quite a while, if we're just being honest. This would be a huge deal for ASU to get to 6-1. They have won just 6 games over the last 2 seasons. If you take the NCAA's, the sanctions into account, where they took away the wins from 2021 and 2022, you've won 3 games over the last 3 years. You've won 5 games since 2020. You are this close to getting to 6-1. Can you do it this week? I don't know. I'm really excited to find out and see if you are bowl eligible. Finally, what this game means, you have a chance to get ranked. ASU is right there. They were 27th in the coaches poll. They were 28th in the AP poll. They're right there. People are ready to put ASU in the top 25. I got news for you. They're not getting in there at 5-2, and they're going to fall off pretty dramatically. Call it what it is. If they win, you're 6-1, and you are in the top 25, guaranteed. If you're not, then we riot for sure. No ifs, ands, or buts. There's no reason to keep ASU out of the top 25 at this point in time. Bold predictions. 2 on offense, 2 on defense. Number 1, Jeff Sims. I'm going to say he gets a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. But I think he turns the ball over twice. I don't know what that looks like. I would venture to say 2 interceptions. Maybe it's 2 fumbles. Maybe it's 1 of each. I think this is a quality game from Jeff Sims. I don't think it's an elite game from Jeff Sims. I'm hoping you get more highs than lows, but there will be lows in this game. Bold prediction number 2, Cam Scatterbo, he's going to keep it up. He is scoring twice. He is going over 150 rushing yards in this game. He has had over 150 yards in each of the last 2 games. Cam Scatterbo is absolutely unstoppable this year. If it were not for Ashton Genty at Boise State, Scatterbo would be one of the favorites for the Doak Walker Award for the nation's top running back this year. 100%. 773 yards on the year, 8 touchdowns. He scored in every game except 1. 5.8 yards per carry. He's had over 150 yards in the last 2 weeks. He's also over 7 yards per carry in the last 2 weeks. He's going to keep that up. Cincinnati is not a good run defense. They're not suddenly going to stop an ASU attack that's going over 200 yards per game. Cam Scatterbo is going to be great. He's scoring twice again. He's going over $150. On defense, first bold prediction. Prince Dorbach, Clayton Smith, they are combining together for 3 sacks. Now, maybe that's 3 sacks from one guy. I would still count it. Prince Dorbach, I'm really, really hoping that he is 100% good to go after missing the first few weeks of the year to get healthy. He had a bye week to also get himself there. He seems ready to go. Is he going to blow up in this game? I don't know. I hope so. But I also know, I know Clayton Smith is getting back on the board in the sack department. This is not an easy team to get sacks on, though. Again, Cincinnati's only surrendered 9 sacks this year. For those 2, Dorbach and Smith, to combine for 3 sacks, you're talking about a third of the sacks that Cincinnati has given up in 6 games. That's tough to do. Nonetheless, I'm saying they do it. And then my second bold prediction for the defense. Unfortunately, this isn't a fun one. I'm saying Cincinnati is over 300 passing yards in this game. Brendan Zorbsey has been phenomenal. He is averaging almost 300 passing yards per game, 17-22 through 3 games. He's also coming off a 241-yard performance, and the week before that was a 426-yard performance. He's good. Now, granted, in that time, his 3 interceptions have come over those last 2 games. Can ASU get some turnovers? They got 3 last week. Can they continue to build upon that? I sure hope so, but I do think this is a big week for Zorbsey in the passing yards department. I'm hoping they get some turnovers to maybe negate that a little bit, but the box score is going to look pretty good for Cincinnati. Here we go. Final score prediction. I just don't know, man. Even after 31 minutes of this podcast, I'm still not sure. I will go biased. I will take ASU on the road 28-21. My other prediction, I'll just give it to you guys because might as well. There's a chance Cincinnati wins this game. If they do, I got Cincy 27-17. That would be because ASU just struggles on offense. They turn the ball over, and they're not ready on the road. However, I do think that ASU's running attack on offense is going to be the difference in this game. They rush for 200 yards, and they get those 2 touchdowns out of Scadaboo. They got a chance to beat anyone in the Big 12. That includes Cincinnati, even in Cincinnati. They've got a chance in this game. I just don't know how good I feel about it. I came into the year feeling very good about it. I go into this week, I'm not sure. I think it's a coin flip. I will ultimately just let my bias take this one because I truly don't know which side I am leaning towards. We'll take the bias side. We'll go ASU over Cincinnati 28-21. Wrapping up the show. What happens next? Well, 3 things happen next, no matter how this game goes. You are going into your final bye week. Hopefully you got momentum, but if you're going into your bye week on a loss, then you just need to find a way to rebound for the final 5 games of the year because you got Oklahoma State, you got Kansas State, you got BYU. Those are tough games. Those are really tough games. You're hosting UCF. They're slumping. They're not the worst team in the world. You have the Territorial Cup. You're trying not to let Arizona three-peat. It is a tough stretch. Final 5 games, it's going to be nut up or shut up time. But this bye week is crucial. It's also crucial to get Sam Leavitt healthy, obviously. You're going to find out what you're made of going into this final bye week. If you're 6-1, you feel good. You feel G-O-O-D good. B-E-A-U-tiful. You get to 6-1. 5-2, no matter how you lose. If you lose by 3, if you lose by 10, if you lose by 20, you're going to be demoralized a little bit. How are you going into the bye week? After that, you've got 3 road games, 2 home games. You are visiting Oklahoma State. You are visiting, Kansas State, and you are visiting Arizona. None of those are easy. You're hosting BYU, and you're hosting UCF for your 2 home games. Again, this is not easy. There is a world where you get 1 win, maybe 2. I don't think you lose out. There's a chance that you are barely a bowl team, depending on how this goes. There's also a chance you are a 9-win team. Seriously, I think the ceiling here is 9 wins for the Sun Devils. But it starts with beating Cincinnati this week. If you don't beat Cincinnati, you're not winning 9 games. If you do, that door remains open. Finally, are you still competing for more than a bowl game? You're 1 win away from a bowl game. Not Cincinnati. ASU is winning 1 more game this year. Guaranteed. Put a stamp on it. Tattoo it. I don't care. If I'm wrong, I'll shave my beard. 100%. If ASU loses out the year and they go 5-7, beard is gone. Promise you. It's not happening. They're going bowling this year. Can you play for more than that? I don't know if you're playing for a Big 12 title appearance. I don't know if you're playing for a playoff spot. Probably not. You would be basically in the playoff because you won your title. That's it. Because otherwise, 8 wins, 9 wins, you're not getting to the playoff. You are hoping that you can get a better bowl game than that. I don't know, the super tiny bowl in no-name Iowa. No offense, Iowa. You want a decent bowl game this year because you're trying to advertise yourself for the future to recruits, to fans, to alumni, to everyone else, to buy into the NIL, to buy into the football team, to start selling out the stadium, all that good stuff. It starts with a good bowl game. You go 6-6, you're barely getting anything good. You go 8-4, something quality. You go 9-3, there's going to be something good out there. What are you playing for? Are you still competing after this game and going into the bye week for something more than barely being a bowl team? I don't know. We're going to find out. This has been your ultimate game day preview for Locked On Sun Devils. ASU against Cincinnati. What do you got? Do you got ASU getting a critical road win, or are they going down in Cincinnati heading into their bye week? Are they 5-2? Are they 6-1? Are they getting ranked? What's the rest of the year look like? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrads36, the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Wherever you're getting your shows, like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you get that update whenever we post new content. A special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Thanks to all of you for making us your first listen of the day. And one more reminder, this is not a normal podcast. Normally, this is 2 different episodes. You can see by the runtime, this is a long episode. I promise you that will not be the case moving forward. Unless it is another super tight game where it's another 9 a.m. start on a Saturday, we would have to do this again unless I can try and plan ahead and get my week sorted out. This was an emergency kind of version of the podcast. This is not normal. It's all good. We'll be back on track next week and the week after that. That being said, we'll be back again on Monday with a game recap for you. We got the good and the bad. We got takeaways. If we win, we got game balls. If we lose, we got what needs to be fixed going into the final bye week of the year. I'll see you on Monday. Until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.